I never thought I'd hear those words come out of my own brother's mouth. Standing in my kitchen on that humid Atlanta evening, watching Alex sneer at my 15-year-old daughter Hope, I felt something inside me shatter and rebuild itself harder. Hey lovely souls. At Family Life Tales we share stories about family that inspire, educate, and uplift you. If this resonates with you, please show your support by liking this video and subscribing. Also, take a moment to pause and let us know in the comments which country and state you're watching from. Now let's continue our story. She's not even your real daughter, Rachel, Alex spat, his voice dripping with venom. Why you keep putting this worthless little girl before family? She ain't got our blood. Hope's face crumpled. This brilliant, beautiful child who'd survived foster care, who'd blossomed into an honor student with dreams of becoming a pediatric nurse, stood there absorbing poison from her uncle's mouth. My hands trembled as I gripped the counter, fighting every instinct to lunge at him. Get out, I whispered, my voice deadly calm. Alec laughed, that cruel sound I remembered from childhood when he'd torture neighborhood cats. What? Can't handle the truth? You picked some random kid over your own brother's needs. I needed that loan for my business, but you spent it on her college fund instead. Hope fled upstairs and I heard her bedroom door slam. The sound echoed through my chest like a gunshot. I said get out. My voice carried 20 years of suppressed fury. Now. Fine. But don't come crying when your precious adopted princess shows her true colors. Bad blood always rises to the surface. Alec grabbed his jacket, pausing at my door. And Rachel? Don't expect me at Sunday dinner anymore. Not while she's here. The door slammed. I stood in my kitchen, shaking, wondering how protecting my daughter had just cost me my brother. 3 days passed without word from Alec. I'd replayed that night countless times, each memory cutting deeper. Hope barely spoke, moving through our house like a ghost. She'd stopped eating properly, picking at the meals I'd carefully prepared. Mama. Hope's voice was small as she approached me, folding laundry in the living room. Maybe Uncle Alec was right. Maybe I don't belong here. I dropped the towel, pulling her into my arms. Baby, look at me. Her brown eyes, so like my own, were rimmed with tears. You're my daughter. Not because of blood, but because of love. Because I chose you and you chose me back. I thought about that day 5 years ago at the adoption center. Hope, 10 years old, sitting alone while other kids played. She'd been reading a medical textbook someone had donated, her finger tracing each word carefully. Why that one? The social worker had asked when I pointed to Hope. She chose me first, I'd replied, remembering how Hope had looked up from her book and smiled, really smiled for the first time that day. Now, holding my daughter as she cried, I felt that same fierce protectiveness surge through me. I'm calling Grandma Vivian, I decided aloud. Alec has lost his mind, but maybe she can talk sense into him. Hope pulled back. What if she agrees with him? The question hung between us like a blade. Mama had supported the adoption, but family loyalty ran deep in our house. Alec was her firstborn, her baby boy who could do no wrong. My phone buzzed. A text from Alec. Hope you're happy. Business is failing without that loan. Thanks for choosing strangers over blood. Mama's house smelled like lemon pound cake and disappointment when I arrived Thursday evening. She sat in her favorite recliner, the one Daddy had bought her before he passed, her silver hair perfectly styled despite being 73. Sit down, Rachel. Her voice carried that tone I remembered from childhood, the one that meant I was in trouble before she'd even explained why. Mama, Alec told you his version. Let me tell you what really happened. I don't need versions, baby. I need you to fix this family. She adjusted her glasses, studying me with those sharp eyes that had raised 5 children and buried 2 husbands. Alec came by yesterday crying. My grown son crying like a baby. Heat flashed through my chest. He called Hope worthless, Mama. Your granddaughter. He said she wasn't family because she's adopted. Mama's expression shifted slightly, a crack in her usual composed mask. He was upset about the business loan. Sometimes we say things we don't mean when we're hurting. No. The word came out harder than I intended. Some words can't be unsaid. Some wounds can't be healed with apologies. I pulled out my phone, showing her the bank statement. You want to know about that loan? I had $12,000 saved for Hope's college fund. Alec wanted $15,000 for some guaranteed investment opportunity he couldn't even explain properly. Mama squinted at the screen. You could have helped him and still saved for her college. With what money, Mama? I'm a single mother working double shifts at the hospital. Every penny I save is planned for years in advance. My voice cracked. And she's not her, she's your granddaughter. She's been your granddaughter for 5 years. The silence stretched between us, filled with 35 years of complicated family dynamics. Alec is blood, Rachel. So am I. And so is Hope in every way that matters. Hope sat at our kitchen table Saturday morning, her laptop open, typing furiously. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, and her natural hair was pulled back in a messy bun. She'd barely touched her breakfast. What are you working on, baby? She looked up, something calculating in her expression that I'd never seen before. Research project for school. Something felt off. Hope had always been an open book with me, sharing every detail of her day. But since Alec's attack, she'd retreated into herself, spending hours on her computer. My phone rang. Carmen, my best friend since nursing school. Girl, I saw Alec at the Walmart on Cascade yesterday. Carmen's voice bubbled through the speaker. He was with some woman I didn't recognize. Real cozy-like, holding hands and everything. My stomach dropped. Carmen, Alec is married. That was probably Denise. Honey, I know Denise. This woman was tall, light-skinned with one of those fancy weaves. Nothing like Denise's natural style. Carmen paused. And they were looking at pregnancy tests. The kitchen spun around me. Hope looked up from her laptop, clearly listening. You sure it was Alec? Baby, I've known your brother since we were teenagers. It was him. Carmen's voice softened. I'm sorry, Rachel. I debated telling you, but if it was my family. After hanging up, I sat in stunned silence. Alec, who'd lectured me about family values and blood loyalty, might be cheating on his wife of 8 years. Denise, who'd always been kind to Hope, who'd defended our adoption decision to skeptical relatives. Mama. Hope's voice cut through my thoughts. Can I ask you something? Always. If someone in the family was doing something wrong, really wrong, would you want to know? Sunday dinner at Mama's house felt like walking into a minefield. The entire family had gathered. My sisters Trina and Joyce with their families, Alec and Denise and several cousins. Everyone knew about the fight, though details varied depending on who was telling the story. Denise hugged me tightly at the door. I'm so sorry about what happened. Alec told me you two had words, but he didn't explain exactly what. Of course he hadn't. I studied Denise's face. Genuine concern, no hint of deception. She had no idea what her husband had said to my daughter. Where's Hope? Denise asked, looking around. I brought her that book about Black women in medicine she wanted. She's not feeling well, I lied, unable to bear the thought of putting Hope through this family gathering. Alec avoided eye contact throughout dinner, playing the wounded party perfectly. He regaled everyone with stories about his struggling business, how hard it was to get loans, how family should support each other. Some people just don't understand sacrifice, he said, glancing at me meaningfully. They put their own interests above family needs. Trina nodded sympathetically. Business loans are so hard to get now. The banks want everything. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. Alec was rewriting history, painting himself as the victim while my daughter sat at home, still questioning her worth. After dinner, I cornered Alec on Mama's back porch. We need to talk. Nothing to talk about, sister. You made your choice clear. You called my daughter worthless. You told her she wasn't family. My voice shook with controlled rage. That's not business talk, Alec. That's cruelty. He shrugged, lighting a cigarette. Truth hurts sometimes. That girl's got you wrapped around her finger and you can't see it. What girl? You mean my daughter? Your niece. Your adopted project. The words hung in the air like smoke. Hope was still awake when I got home, her laptop glowing in the darkened living room. She looked up as I entered and I saw something new in her expression, determination mixed with hurt. Mama, sit down. I need to show you something. My heart pounded as I settled beside her on the couch. The laptop screen showed a Facebook page, Jasmine Washington, 26, from College Park. A beautiful woman with honey-colored skin and long, straight hair. Hope, why are you showing me this? Look at the photos. Her voice was steady, but I heard the tremor underneath. She scrolled through images. Jasmine at various Atlanta restaurants. Jasmine at Stone Mountain. Jasmine at the Mall of Georgia. And in several recent photos, a familiar figure beside her. Ugh. Baby, how did you find this? After what Carmen told you yesterday, I started looking. Hope's fingers moved across the trackpad with practiced ease. Uncle Alec tagged himself at 3 different locations with her in the past month. Look at this one. The photo showed Alec and Jasmine at the Cheesecake Factory in Buckhead, his arm around her waist, both smiling at the camera. The timestamp read 2 weeks ago, the same day he'd attended Denise's birthday party. Hope, you shouldn't be. There's more. She opened another tab. Her Instagram. She posted this yesterday. A pregnancy announcement. Pink and blue balloons, hands forming a heart over a barely visible bump, and text that read, "Our little miracle is on the way. Can't wait to start this family with my king. #baby number 1 #blessed and grateful." The comments were full of congratulations, but one caught my eye. Alec had liked the post. From his public account, where Denise followed him. "Mama, he called me worthless because I'm adopted, but he's making babies with his mistress while married to Aunt Denise." Hope's voice cracked. How is that family loyalty? I stared at the screen, my world tilting on its axis. Alec, who'd positioned himself as the moral authority in our family, was living a double life. The man who'd called my daughter worthless was about to father a child with another woman while his wife believed they were trying to start a family together. Hope, how long have you been investigating this? Since Wednesday night. After what he said. She pulled up another tab showing a spreadsheet she'd created with dates, locations, and screenshots. I've been documenting everything. The restaurants, the hotels, the shopping trips. He's not even being careful about it. My 15-year-old daughter had conducted a more thorough investigation than some private detectives. The evidence was overwhelming. Photos, check-ins, social media interactions spanning months. Does Aunt Denise know? Hope asked quietly. No, baby. She doesn't. I closed the laptop, pulling Hope close. What made you start looking into this? He said I didn't belong in this family. That bad blood always rises to the surface. Tears finally came, hot and angry. I wanted to prove I was worthy of being here. But then I found all this and I realized he's the one with bad blood. The irony was devastating. Alec had attacked Hope's character while hiding his own moral failures. He'd questioned her right to be part of our family while betraying the family member who loved him most. What are we going to do? Hope whispered. I looked at my daughter. Brilliant, thorough, hurt but not broken. She'd turned her pain into purpose, her rejection into investigation. Alec had tried to make her feel small, but instead he'd awakened something fierce in her. We're going to protect this family. Starting with Aunt Denise. Monday morning I called in sick to work for the first time in 2 years. Denise worked as a substitute teacher and I knew she'd be free between assignments. I needed to see her face when I shared what Hope had discovered. Rachel. What a nice surprise, Denise beamed as she opened her front door. Their Conyers home was modest but immaculate, photos of her and Alec covering every surface. Wedding pictures, vacation shots, family gatherings. 8 years of what appeared to be happiness. Can we talk? It's important. Her smile faded as she led me to the living room. Is this about the argument with Alec? Because I've been trying to get him to call you. He's been so stressed about the business. Denise, what I'm about to tell you is going to hurt. But you need to know. I pulled out my phone, showing her the screenshots Hope had compiled. Denise's face went through a series of changes. Confusion, disbelief, recognition, devastation. That's the woman from his business meetings, she whispered, staring at a photo of Alec and Jasmine kissing outside a Marriott hotel. He said she was a potential investor. Denise, I'm so sorry. Her hands shook as she scrolled through the evidence. She's pregnant. Oh God, Alec and I have been trying for 3 years. I've had 2 miscarriages and he kept saying we just needed to be patient. The pieces clicked together. Alec hadn't just been cheating. He'd been living an entire parallel life while his wife struggled with infertility. How long have you known? Denise's voice was hollow. I found out Saturday. But Denise, there's something else you need to know. The reason Alec and I fought wasn't about a business loan. I told her everything, Alec's cruel words about Hope, his claim that adopted children weren't real family, his vicious attack on a 15-year-old girl who'd done nothing but exist. He said that to Hope? Denise stood abruptly, pacing to the window. That sweet baby who helped me plant my garden last spring? Who made me that Mother's Day card? Denise called in sick Tuesday and spent the day at our house. I found her and Hope in the kitchen, hunched over the laptop together, Denise asking questions while Hope walked her through the evidence methodically. Show me the timeline again, Denise said, her voice steady now. The initial shock had transformed into cold determination. The first photo I found was from 6 months ago, Hope explained, pulling up her spreadsheet. But look at this, he's been liking her posts for over a year. And here, this comment from last Valentine's Day. Alec had written beautiful as always on a photo of Jasmine in a red dress. While Denise had posted photos of the romantic dinner Alec had supposedly planned for them that same evening. He played us both, Denise muttered. Every business meeting, every late night at the office, every weekend trip to scout locations. She laughed bitterly. I packed his bags for half those trips. Aunt Denise, Hope said softly, I'm sorry you're going through this because of what I found. Denise looked up sharply. Baby girl, don't you dare apologize. You didn't cause this mess, you exposed it. There's a difference. I watched my daughter's shoulders straighten slightly. Since Alec's attack, she'd been carrying shame that didn't belong to her. Seeing Denise's pain helped her understand that Alec's cruelty extended far beyond their argument. What's your plan? I asked Denise. Her smile was sharp as broken glass. Alec thinks he can destroy people with words? He thinks he can rewrite family history to make himself the victim? Let's see how he handles some truth. She pulled out her phone, scrolling to Alec's number. I'm going to invite him to dinner. Tell him we need to talk about starting a family. Hope's eyes lit up. Can I help? Wednesday evening, Alec arrived at Denise's house with flowers and takeout from her favorite Thai restaurant. I watched from Hope's bedroom window across the street as he kissed his wife hello, playing the role of devoted husband perfectly. Hope sat beside me, her phone recording everything. We'd positioned ourselves strategically, close enough to see but far enough to avoid detection. Denise had left her living room curtains partially open, giving us a clear view. This feels weird, Hope whispered. Like we're spying. We're documenting, I corrected. Sometimes the truth needs witnesses. Through the window we could see Denise setting the table with their wedding china. She'd spent hours preparing for this confrontation, choosing her clothes carefully. The blue dress Alec had bought her for their anniversary, the one he'd said made her eyes sparkle. She's brilliant, Hope observed. Making him remember what he's throwing away before she destroys him. At 7:30, Denise's signal came. She turned on the porch light. That meant she was about to begin. We couldn't hear the words, but we could read body language. Alec, relaxed and unsuspecting, reaching for Denise's hand across the table. Denise pulling out her phone, showing him something. Alec's face changing from confusion to panic to anger in rapid succession. He's getting up, Hope narrated unnecessarily. We both watched Alec pace the living room, his hands gesturing wildly while Denise sat calmly at the table. Then Alec grabbed his jacket and stormed out. The door slammed so hard we heard it from across the street. My phone buzzed. Text from Denise. Phase 1 complete. He knows I know. Coming over. 20 minutes later, Denise sat in our living room, her carefully applied makeup smudged but her expression victorious. How did he react? I asked. Exactly like the coward he is. Denied everything until I showed him the pregnancy announcement. Then he tried to blame me, said I was cold, that I didn't understand his needs. She laughed harshly. 30 minutes ago he was promising me we'd start trying for a baby again next month. Alec showed up at my house Thursday night, just as we'd anticipated. I heard his truck in the driveway and sent Hope upstairs with instructions to record everything from the top of the stairs. Rachel. He pounded on my door like police executing a warrant. Open this damn door. I let him bang for 30 seconds before unlocking it. Alec pushed past me into the living room, his face twisted with rage. You did this. You and that little spy you call a daughter. Lower your voice. And don't talk about my daughter. She's not your daughter. Alec's voice cracked with fury. She's some stranger you picked up who's now destroying our family. She's been stalking me, taking pictures, violating my privacy. The hypocrisy was breathtaking. Privacy? Ugh, you're married. Your privacy went out the window when you decided to cheat on your wife and father another woman's baby. That's between me and Denise. No, it's not. Not when you came into my house and called my daughter worthless. Not when you blamed her for your own moral failures. I stepped closer, my voice dropping to a deadly whisper. You want to talk about family loyalty? Let's talk about how you've been lying to your wife for months while she cried about miscarriages. Alex's face went pale. Denise told you about. She told me everything. How you held her while she grieved babies that didn't survive, all while making a baby with your mistress. I felt 17 years of big sister protectiveness surge through me. How you promised her you'd start a family while already starting one with someone else. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. The pressure. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Alec, you're 37 years old. You made choices. Own them. From upstairs came a small sound. Hope shifting position. Alec's head snapped toward the stairs. Is she recording this? That little. Careful, I warned, my voice sharp as steel. Very careful what you say about my daughter in my house. Friday morning brought chaos. Alec had spent the night calling every family member, trying to control the narrative before Denise could tell her side. But Hope's evidence was overwhelming, and Denise had forwarded everything to Mama, my sisters, and several cousins. My phone rang constantly, family members wanting details, taking sides, demanding explanations. The consensus was clear. Alec had crossed lines that couldn't be uncrossed. At noon, Mama called. Family meeting. Sunday after church. Everyone needs to be there. Mama, I don't think that's a good idea. Emotions are too raw. This family is falling apart, Rachel. We need to talk before it gets worse. Her voice carried decades of keeping peace between stubborn children. And bring Hope. This concerns her too. After hanging up, I found Hope in her bedroom, working on homework as if the world hadn't exploded around us. How are you holding up, baby? She looked up from her calculus textbook. Honestly, I feel sorry for Uncle Alec. The statement surprised me. Why? Because he's lost everything over his pride and his lies. His wife, his family's respect. Probably his business once word gets out. Hope set down her pencil. But mostly I feel sorry for him because he's too stupid to realize what he already had. My daughter's wisdom humbled me. At 15, she understood concepts about family and loyalty that her 37-year-old uncle had never grasped. Are you nervous about Sunday? No, she said firmly. I know who I am now. I know where I belong. Uncle Alec can't take that away from me anymore. Saturday evening, Denise appeared at our door with suitcases and red-rimmed eyes. Can I stay here tonight? I can't be in that house anymore. Of course. I pulled her inside, Hope immediately appearing to help with the bags. I filed for divorce yesterday, Denise announced. And I'm keeping the house. Let him figure out how to support 2 households on his failing business income. The scene at Mama's house was unlike any family gathering I'd ever witnessed. Everyone sat in rigid silence. My sisters with their families on one side of the living room, several cousins scattered throughout, and Mama in her chair like a judge preparing to render verdict. Alec arrived late and alone, his usually immaculate appearance disheveled. He'd aged years in the past week, his cocky demeanor replaced by desperate defiance. Before anyone says anything, he began, I want you all to know that I've been set up. Rachel and her daughter have been stalking me, invading my privacy, trying to destroy my marriage out of spite. The room erupted. Trina started shouting, Joyce shook her head in disgust, and Cousin Ray actually stood up like he was ready to fight. Enough. Mama's voice cut through the chaos. Sit down, Alec. Everyone be quiet. She turned to Hope, who sat beside me with perfect posture and calm eyes. Hope, baby, tell us exactly what happened. From the beginning. My daughter's voice was steady as she recounted everything, Alec's cruel words, her decision to investigate the evidence she'd uncovered. She spoke without emotion, presenting facts like the future lawyer I suddenly realized she might become. When she finished, Mama looked at Alec. Is what she said true? Did you call this child worthless? Mama, you don't understand the context. Yes or no, Alec? Did you call your niece worthless because she's adopted? The silence stretched endlessly. Finally, Alec nodded. And are you having a baby with another woman while married to Denise? Another nod, barely visible. Mama's expression could have frozen hell. Get out of my house. Mama, please. I raised you better than this. Your daddy and I taught you about family, about loyalty, about treating people right. She stood slowly, all 73 years of accumulated wisdom and disappointment radiating from her small frame. You attacked a child for being adopted while living a lie. You questioned her place in this family while betraying your own wife. 3 months later, life had settled into a new rhythm. Denise's divorce was proceeding smoothly. Alec couldn't afford a good lawyer once his business collapsed and word spread about his character. She'd moved into a smaller apartment but seemed lighter somehow, free from the weight of pretending her marriage was happy. Hope had transformed the experience into a social studies project about family dynamics and conflict resolution, earning an A+ and recognition from her teacher for exceptional research methodology. She'd stopped questioning her place in our family and started talking about studying family law in college. I want to help kids who get stuck between adults' stupid decisions, she explained over dinner one evening. Alec had tried to contact several family members, looking for sympathy and financial help. He'd found neither. The baby was born in February, a beautiful little girl who deserved better than a father who saw children as pawns in adult games. Mama. Hope looked up from her homework. Can I ask you something? Always. Do you ever regret adopting me? All the drama with Uncle Alec, the family tension. Sometimes I wonder if your life would be easier without me. The question hit me like a physical blow. I knelt beside her chair, taking her hands in mine. Hope Marie Henderson, you listen to me. You are the best decision I ever made. Not because you're easy or convenient, but because you're mine. Because every single day for 5 years, you've chosen to love me back. Tears filled her eyes. Even with all the mess I caused? Baby, you didn't cause anything. You exposed something that was already rotten. I squeezed her hands. And you know what? I'm proud of how you handled it. You could have been cruel or vindictive, but you chose truth instead. The next morning brought unexpected news. A letter addressed to Hope from the governor's office. She'd been selected as one of 50 students statewide for a summer internship program in youth advocacy. How did they even know about me? She wondered, reading the acceptance letter. The answer came in a follow-up email from her social studies teacher, who'd submitted her family dynamics project to a state competition without telling her. 1 year later, we gathered at Mama's house for Sunday dinner. A smaller group now, but somehow warmer. Denise had started dating someone new, a gentleman who appreciated her strength. Hope was thriving in her junior year, already accepted to 3 colleges with full scholarships. Alec had reached out twice, both times asking for money. Both times I'd declined politely but firmly. Some bridges, once burned, couldn't be rebuilt with apologies alone. You know what I realized? Hope said as we sat on Mama's porch after dinner, watching the sunset paint the Atlanta skyline gold and pink. Uncle Alec was right about one thing: blood does matter. But not the way he thinks. What do you mean? Real blood isn't about genetics. It's about showing up. About protecting each other. About choosing love even when it's hard. She leaned against my shoulder. You've got more of Mama's blood in you than he ever did, even though you're both her biological children. Wisdom from my 17-year-old daughter. I thought about that night a year ago when Alec had tried to make her feel worthless, unwanted, disposable. Instead, he'd revealed his own moral bankruptcy while strengthening her sense of self. I've been thinking about something, I told her. When you turn 18 next year, I want to do another adoption ceremony. Not because the first one wasn't real, but because I want to celebrate who you've become. Really? Her smile lit up the evening. Can we invite everyone? Even the family members who weren't sure about adoption at first. Especially them. Let them see what chosen family looks like when it's built on truth instead of obligation. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Alec using a new phone since Denise had blocked his old one. I miss my family. Can we talk? I showed the message to Hope, who read it thoughtfully. What are you going to do? I deleted the message without responding. Some conversations were over before they began. Family isn't about blood, baby. It's about behavior. And some people have to earn their way back into the circle they broke. The sun set completely, painting the sky purple and gold. Inside, I could hear Mama's laughter mixing with Denise's, the sound of women who'd survived betrayal and chosen each other anyway. Come on, I told my daughter my choice, my heart walking around outside my body. Let's go be with our real family. We walked inside together, leaving the past on the porch where it belonged.